Good evening, everyone, and a very big warm welcome to today's session of the Career Talks that we are having with Miss Pauline Durango. We are glad that you made time to join in. Kindly share the link, invite your friends, um, call your people to join in. This is a conversation that you don't want to miss because we are having a very key person in the business sector who is going to guide us on practical steps on how to pursue business as a career path so that we can move from the conventional ways of being a teacher, which are all not bad, being a doctor and all that. But we're going to have a session where we're going to talk about amazing things in the line of business. So before we continue even further, I would like to invite Miss Grace so that she can say a word of prayer for us, and then we can kickstart this session. Kindly, Miss Grace, we'd love to have you pray for us, and then we can start. All right. I'm sure she's not in a position to unmute. The response has taken quite a bit. How about Mr. Patrick? Are you in a position to unmute, say a word of prayer, and we can start off? Please respond so that we can go ahead with the program. Okay.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're very audible. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Okay. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this night. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your grace that has sustained us. We thank you that this session is a success. We are partaking from all these things that are going to be shared. Lord, we thank you that understanding is our portion. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much for saying the word of prayer. And once again, karibuni sana for today's session on Career Talks. We are pleased to have our guest with us already in this platform. But before we go ahead, maybe I can give you a brief on what Future Den is. Future Den is a youth initiative, a hub that seeks to develop, grow the youth not only in the career space, but also in the business space, the entrepreneurial space, and as well in terms of leadership. We are seeking to have a holistic generation that can not only be professionals in the marketplace, but leaders in the marketplace as well, thought leaders, people who influence policies, people who direct resources, and are able to impact generations upon generations. And more than just the Career Talks, which is a platform that holds bi-monthly. If you didn't know, we hold Career Talks every 2 weeks. After every 2 weeks, bi-weekly. Sorry, we hold Career Talks after every 2 weeks on Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So already from now, you can anticipate that the next Career Talk session will be on the 22nd of October, thereabout. So be ready. We're going to have another guest, and it's going to be an amazing session. So we have different programs. The first one being the Career Talks that usually take place bi-weekly so that we can have different guests coming to speak on either the topic of career, business, or leadership. And then we also have the Next Step Mentorship Program, where we have the second cohort that will be finishing their training on the October 11th. Congratulations to the mentees. We have had an amazing 8 week sessions that have run for 4 weeks with 7 different mentors who have talked to us, who have spoken to us, who have imparted skill to us. And I am certain that that is going to be causing a very great difference on the people that we're releasing to the marketplace. And more than just that, we also have our flagship annual event, which is the Next Step Mentorship Business and Career Symposium that is going to happen at the end of this year. That will be on the 29th of November. So stay tuned for more details coming up. We're going to brief you, we're going to fill you in, we are going to encourage you to join, to share, and we have made sure that you are able to get access to the tickets at a very pleasant and an affordable price. So I am sure that it will be an impactful session. It will be an insightful session. It will help you connect, network, learn, get into spaces that you even never thought that was possible. And it will help you also develop a unique mindset. So I am glad I can see the numbers are increasing, and I hope you have shared the link with your friends, with your family members, with your sister, with your brothers. Come, let's talk about business. Business is a very fundamental aspect that we need to discuss, and we need to know how to steward business. And to take us through this particular session, we have none other than Miss Pauline Dirango, a beautiful, lovely Kenyan kingdom oriented lady who loves God, loves her family, but more than just that, she owns a fleet of businesses, a conglomerate of businesses. It's an amazing thing to see a woman who is a builder, and not only a builder in one sector, but she has taken over different sectors in the marketplace. And we're going to hear more about that from her herself, and we are glad to have her on the call already. So it's important that we know that Miss Pauline, she is a wealth coach, and more than just a wealth coach, she helps people to strategize their businesses. She gives people the strategic mindset that helps people to grow their businesses from a young business to a well established 6 figure, 7 figure, multiple producing business. And more than just that, she is a beautiful woman who retired at the age of 33, guys. 33. I don't know how many of us are already at 33, but I am looking forward to retiring before that time. I'm looking forward to retiring before that time. But she retired at 33, and she has been able to build multiple businesses. And these businesses are giving returns. And you know what's even more interesting? She has a business in Kenya that she has not yet seen physically with her own eyes, but she has been to that business through pictures, through information and recordings that she gets from people. And we're going to hear more about that. So if you have not shared the link already, I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know who you are waiting for, if I could ask that question. And before we invite our guest, I'd like to invite at least two people to tell us what would you be expecting to learn today? What are you anticipating to hear from our speaker? Just list your expectation. You're free to use the chat box. You are free to unmute. We're just going to have two people say something. Probably you even saw the topic and you formulated a conversation in your head and you already have the questions that you want to ask. So feel free to use the chat box. Feel free to type. Feel free to unmute. Excuse me. Feel free to unmute. You can unmute and say something, a word or two. Greet us. Let us know where you are. Where are you listening to us from? Where are you watching us from? And let us know your expectation for the session. So I'm going to give this just for a minute or two for the interest of time because we want to glean the most from our speaker tonight. What are your expectations? What are you looking forward to hearing? Anyone willing to unmute, please feel free. Just use the reaction button so that we can be able to see you, or you can unmute directly so that we can be able to hear from you. Tell us your expectation, tell us what you're looking forward to hearing. Yes, we had a session with a few people yesterday, and we are talking about professional networking, and people were mentioning the people that love to meet. Maybe you also have a question on networking. This is the platform. Anyway, anyone willing to share what their expectations for this session are? Anyone willing to share? We're waiting to see a hand, waiting to see a comment in the chat box. or at least use the reaction buttons to show that you're ready to receive, that you're anticipating to hear from this amazing woman of God on this platform today. Anyone? Yes, thank you, Mr. Amos. Please go ahead and mute and speak. We are listening.
Yeah, good evening. My expectation in today's session, many people, many professionals are always afraid of doing business because of fearing the risks and all that. So my expectation today is that as a professional, as a professional agribusiness personnel or any other professional, like how can I gain? How can I best gain from business? Because you realize that business is the way to go. Yeah, and of course, together with building my career as a person, that's my expectation. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much for highlighting that. We love it. Thank you. I can see Frida Arna is saying that she is expecting something on financial literacy and financial management. Oh, you got that right. We have the best wealth coach in the room, and we are going to touch on that a bit here and there. Anyone else willing to share before we start this off? You are free to use the chat box. You are free to use the reaction buttons. Just let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know what your perceptions are. Let us know what you need to hear so that we can see how we make sure that you get the best from these sessions. This is our way of giving back to the community as well, because career talks are free of charge. We do not charge anyone to attend this particular platform, and would like for you to invite more people to come and join. Why? Because work is a principle and it is a blessing from God. So the more you understand how to steward the work environment that you are in, the easier it becomes for you to do better and to achieve more within the shortest time possible. Because, like we said, experience is not the best teacher, wisdom is. I can see Lillian saying that she is expecting to learn about wealth creation through business. Amazing. I am certain we are going to touch on all those aspects and we are going to glean the best of it. So it is my singular honor to invite today our guest, Miss Pauline Dirango. Please confirm that you can hear us and you are ready and available at this particular moment.
Hey, good evening. How are you? I'm going
I'm
to try
amazing.
love for other people to turn their videos on too, so I can see them. Can
Love
y'all hear?
it. Good to see you.
Is my voice okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure if my volume was on or not, but I think we're good. Um, Thank you all for inviting me on to Future Den Hub. This is such an amazing initiative. I'm so, so proud of the work that y'all are doing at Future Den. It's so much needed. And it's such a I don't know what to say. It should be done at a government level because when you get done with school, you get done with high school, you get done with college, it's like everybody that was supporting you through that part of life suddenly disappears, and then you have to figure out life on your own. So what Future Den is doing, it's continuing that mentorship momentum, even past college, even past university education. You still have a place that you can come to get information and to get inspired and to get direction and wisdom. So I love what you all are doing. Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, and I like the questions so far. You can be assured that we're going to answer those questions. But what I wanted to do, I think because Ruth has already done the introduction pretty well, do I need to reintroduce myself?
Please
I
go
don't
ahead.
think so.
We'd love to hear from you
I
yourself.
don't
Just
think so. I
introduce
think you did
yourself.
it justice. I think you did justice to it, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for what you and Ruth and Stephen are doing. So, if you don't mind, we can jump right in. My name is Pauline. Ruth has pretty much said everything. I'm the CEO of Legacy Ventures, And I was once an employee for a very, very long time. And then I decided to go into business. And that's predominantly what I do now. And I want to talk to you about that transition of going from employment to entrepreneurship and just giving you some examples and some mindsets that helped me to get there. And as Ruth said, I retired at the age of 33 from my corporate job. I said goodbye to corporate, and I felt very strongly that I was being called to go into entrepreneurship and into the business arena, work for myself, and use some of the gifts and talents that God had given me. And I can tell you it's the best decision that I've ever made. Absolute best. And I'm saying that from being a very, very good employee too. My employers were very sad to see me go. So I know a lot of you here are amazing employees. I mean, you're just awesome at what you do, but that does not mean that that's all that there is. There's always a next step. We're always going from grace to grace and from glory to glory. So in my career, I felt I had reached the top and I just needed more. Okay. All right. So with that, without much further ado, would like to share my screen if I have permission to do that, Ruth.
Yes, please. You are allowed to share your screen.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I see that Zoom is allowing me to do that. What do you see so far?
All right. At the moment, we have a couple of tabs like Canva that is open.
Okay, super. So I want to share my Canva screen. And if
Okay.
it can just give me a moment to get that going. And I need it to be in just presentation mode. Is my screen big enough? No. Give me a moment, guys, okay?
Okay, no problem.
All right, so what I want to play for you is a short video clip. And present. All right, here we go. All right, have your
All right. The video is playing. Maybe you can adjust the volume.
so the video is playing, just no sound, right?
Yes.
Give me 1 second, I can take care of that.
Okay.
That will be in
A warm welcome to everyone who is joining as we are working on that as well. Please feel free to use the chat box, type in your questions, use the reaction buttons when you hear something that you like. Comment, share with your friends. Like we said before, this is a free platform that we need everyone to be fully equipped on how to transition through their career, through their business, through their leadership, especially from the formal education sector. So feel free to invite your friends to join in, come in and learn. Today's topic is on career, but in the aspect of business. How do you build a professional business in the line of career? So look forward to hearing more on the business side of it, as opposed to the corporate professional ladder that you go to from day to day or that you have heard often about. How is it going, Miss Pauline?
so I need to figure out how to share my audio while I'm playing the video, because it's going to be very important. In the meantime, if anyone has questions, please put them in the chat. That way Ruth can start working on those as well, okay?
All right.
Give me 1 moment.
Okay. Probably I could start you off with just a teaser. My first question would be, and I believe this is something that everyone else would be considering, however, silently. I mean, you grew up in Kenya, and well, we're not really sure of the village and all that, but while you're growing up, did you ever think that you're going to do business or you're going to transition very early? What made the difference? Like, what was that wake up call moment for you that showed you, oh, really, I can be more than just a little Kenyan girl. I can have business in the beauty sector, in the real estate sector, in the financial literacy sector. I mean, you have multiple business, even in the food processing sector, which is really amazing. So, what was that particular moment where you transitioned from the normal Kenyan girl to now
Mhm.
becoming the billionaire person with the mindset of a billionaire to generate multiple streams of income?
So correction, I'm not a billionaire yet, but I'm getting there. That's my goal. And I am a millionaire in USD. And the mindset for me has always been there. I tell people that I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so it was modeled to me to be industrious, to just by observation, I observed my parents, I observed my aunties and uncles, I saw them in business and how they mostly did not rely on employment income as a source of living. And I could see the difference between the people that did and the people that owned businesses. So those that were employed, they struggled with like their day to day. They struggled with like paying tuition fees for their kids. I could see the type of schools that they took their kids to were completely different. The lifestyles were different. I saw the stress and the burdens were completely different if I compared the two. So um, it helps as a child to see that. And it helps as a child to make that decision of, okay, I definitely want to be these people. I do not want to be these people, right? So I grew up with the mindset of entrepreneurship is the only way, and that financial freedom was not going to come from employment. So even though I did go to school and go to college and get a job and do all of that, in the back of my mind, it was always something temporary, something that I'm doing to get my feet on the ground. It was always something that I'm doing just to um, save up money enough to where I can start a business. It was a learning, almost like a training, right? I knew I'm just in this job to learn. I need these HR skills. I need these job skills later on to use them for my own business, but I'm not going to be here forever. And I find that not everybody has that thought process in mind. Most people stay in jobs thinking, okay, I want to be the manager. Next, I want to be the regional supervisor. After that, I want to be in the board. And that's okay because there are people that have that. Their strength is in corporate. But for me, I knew I was in a temporary place. Yeah. Okay. Do
Amazing.
we
I love it.
have any gurus here that can tell me how to share my audio on Zoom?
Someone has shared in the chat box on how to go about it. That once
Yeah.
you share, how is
Because
that? Once you
yeah,
share the
once you share
screen,
your screen, yeah, you should also be able to share audio, but it's not letting me share the audio. Share sound. Okay, I see it. I see it. As soon as I said, see, thank you, Holy Spirit. All right, let's try it again now. So I'm going to jump into this video. And what this video does is it kind of separates what employment is versus what self-employment is versus what being an entrepreneur is and versus what being an investor is. And what I want you all to see today is see yourself in which category, which quadrant do you belong in? And then you understand how all four quadrants are related. So there's four quadrants in life of employees, of self-employed people, of entrepreneurs, and the last quadrant is an investor. And all of these are tied together, but in life, you have to see yourself moving through all the quadrants and not getting stuck in one place. Okay, so let's try this again and then we'll do questions after. Okay, thank you for your patience. What do you see now? Ruth, what do you see?
still the same video.
You see the
Probably
same
you
video?
could maximize it. Yes.
Okay, give me a second.
Did you ever hear this while growing up? Just go to school, get good grades so you can get a secure and well-paid job. I bet that 95% of you have been raised to believe that this is the road to financial success. I know that I was. And this path might be the most suitable for some people, but definitely not for everyone. In Rich Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki explains that there are 4 different paths to become wealthy, but some of them are more efficient than others. Takeaway number 1, the Cash Flow Quadrant. The Cash Flow Quadrant is a simple model that explains that wealth can come from 4 different sources. Which quadrant you belong to depends on where most of your income comes from. The 4 different quadrants are E, the employee, S, the small business owner or self-employed, B, the big business owner, and I, the investor. The employee strives for security. He achieves financial success by climbing the corporate ladder. And you might find him say something like, "I'm looking for a secure job with nice colleagues and great benefits." The small business owner or self-employed, on the other hand, strives for control. He achieves financial success by becoming highly specialized in a demanding field. And you might find him say something like, "I'm looking for a job where I can be compensated well for my skills and time, where I am in charge." The big business owner strives for freedom. He achieves financial success by creating a profitable business system. And you might hear him say something like, "I'm looking for people that are smarter than me to run my business for me." The investor also strives for freedom, but he does this through allocating money to where it has the highest expected return. You might hear him say something like, "I'm looking for a place where my money can work for me in the most profitable way possible." Takeaway number 2, OPT and OPM. The number 1 difference between the left side of the cash flow quadrant and the right side is OPT and OPM. OPT stands for other people's time and OPM for other people's money. A person from the B quadrant uses OPT and OPM when he is designing a business system where he can hire people from the E and S quadrants while using money from people of the I quadrant. Typically, he also invests a lot of his own time to kickstart the business, but in the long run, this is not essential, and becoming a more passive owner of the business is possible. A person from the I quadrant uses OPT to generate income from his money alone, and if he's skilled enough, he can typically apply other people's money as well as his own money to scale his investment profits. Herein lies the big difference. People from the E and S quadrants never get to use OPT or OPM. Therefore, the more successful they become in their quadrants, the more money they make, but at the same time, their workload increases. Takeaway number 3, the pros and cons of the quadrants. E, the employee. Pros: reduced financial uncertainty, paid vacation, health insurance and other benefits, and colleagues. Cons: success means more work and less free time. Your performance is often higher than your salary, if you are not a slacker, that is, and colleagues, especially bosses. S, the small business owner or self-employed. Pros: you are your own boss. You're paid according to performance. Cons: success means more work and less free time. And financial uncertainty. You might lose money on this. B, the big business owner. Pros: OPT and OPM. Financial freedom can be achieved very quickly. And a greater portion of your profits goes to you. In other words, you pay less tax. Cons: financial uncertainty. You might lose money. It requires a different set of skills than what school teaches. And you'll have to manage people. I, the investor. Pros: OPT and OPM. Financial freedom can be achieved quickly. A greater portion of your profits goes to you, in other words, less tax. And it can be passive. Cons: financial uncertainty. You might lose money. Takeaway number 4. Breaking the addiction, moving to the right side. So, There are pros and cons with all the quadrants, but the right side is where financial freedom can be achieved the fastest. Therefore, we might ask ourselves, how can we move to this side? Money has an addictive power, much like sex or drugs. Therefore, when you earn money through a specific quadrant, you'll be addicted to that quadrant. If you earn money as an employee for a large company, for instance, your brain will associate that type of work with a cash reward. Switching from one quadrant to another becomes more difficult because of this. Moreover, if you've been raised in a family where degrees, job security, paid vacation, and governmental pension has been highly valued, you might have a difficult transition to make. Here are some potential mental obstacles for the conversion.
You're taking too many risks. You might fail. Money can't buy happiness anyways.
As if this wasn't enough, our educational system is built so that it rewards those who make the least number of mistakes and punishes those who make the most. In the B and I quadrants, you must act in the complete opposite way. People who take action will also make the most mistakes, but in the long run, these people will learn more and achieve more as business owners and/or investors. Thomas Edison was criticized for making 1014 mistakes before creating the electric light bulb. In response, he said, "I did not fail 1014 times. I successfully found out what did not work 1014 times." The transition won't be easy, but a great start is to surround yourself with people who have made the journey before and learn from those that are already successful in the B and I quadrants. Takeaway number 5. The 5 levels of investors. According to Robert Kiyosaki, there are 5 different levels of investors. Starting from the bottom, we have 1. The zero financial intelligence level. At this level, we have the people who have nothing to invest at all. Each month, their expenses are higher than their income, often because they forget to pay themselves first, which is the most fundamental strategy for wealth building taught in the classic The Richest Man in Babylon. 2. The savers are losers level. Placing hard-earned money under a mattress or in a low-interest bank account will put you in the top 50% of people financially, but that doesn't mean that it's a solid personal finance plan. Why? Because of inflation. Between 1980 and 2017, the value of the Swedish crown was reduced by 69%, for instance. 3. The I'm too busy level. A lot of people are simply too busy with their careers, family, friends and vacations to dedicate time to investing. They therefore hand over their money to someone else to do it. The problem with this approach is that such a person will never learn how to invest. 4. The I'm a professional level. This is the do-it-yourself investor. He uses his own money and takes his own decisions. He's educating himself in the subject, but hasn't evolved to the last level yet. As you are watching this channel, I expect that you already are at this level, or higher, or that your intentions are to get here. 5. The capitalist level. This is an investor who comes from the B quadrant and has learned how to use the concepts from there in his investing. For example, he is not investing alone. He has advisors that help him gather information about the markets, and in that using OPT. Furthermore, he uses OPM as well as his own money. He has also learned how to use corporations to reduce taxation levels of his capital gains. The level 5 investor is the person who will reach financial freedom first among all of the investors. What level of investor are you? Here's the recap. There are 4 different roads to financial success. You may succeed as the employee, the self-employed, the business owner, and/or the investor. The right side of the cash flow quadrant uses OPT and OPM. There are pros and cons with each of the quadrants, and depending on your personality and goals in life, one might be more suitable than the others. If you wish to move to the B and I quadrants, you must learn to accept risks, make mistakes, and surround yourself with others that have achieved what you wish to do. There are 5 levels of investors, and the greatest profits goes to the level 5 investor, who has learned how to implement business concepts in his investing approach. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you. 4 different sources. Which quadrant you belong to depends on where most of your income.
All right, guys, I am going to pause that right there and begin to interact with you all, because this is an interactive class, right? I'm not here just to give you a bunch of information, but I want us to really go deep into what Robert Kiyosaki is teaching about. So I have questions. Has anybody read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Anyone? Can you all hear me? Ruth, are you
Yes,
there?
we can hear you very perfectly.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Was the
a few
video
people have
audible?
raised their hands.
Awesome.
Yeah, Caroline has said that she has read the book, as well as Amos. I honestly have started the book, but I didn't finish it.
Ah, that's good. All right, so we have 3 people out of 44 that have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Someone else has confirmed that she read it, Grace. So that's
Oh,
4.
that's 4. Okay, amazing.
Yes.
Those of you that have read the book, can you unmute yourself and tell me what impact did the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book by Robert Kiyosaki have on you? If I could just have 1 or 2 people tell me how it changed your life, if it changed your life, whether you implemented the things that you learned from that book.
All right. So maybe Regan says that he has read the book. Regan,
Okay.
are you in a position to unmute? Caroline says that she learned the difference between assets and liabilities. That's the information that she got from that particular book. If you're not in a
Okay.
position to unmute, you can chat on the site. We'll be able to read your comments.
Yeah. So Caroline learned the difference between assets and liabilities. Okay. Anyone else? Do we have another person? We had 4 people that have read this book. What else did they learn from the book? Take your time. You can chat it and Ruth will present it to us. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to open the floor to everybody else that was able to listen to that presentation. What was your main takeaway from what you just heard right now? You can raise
All
your
right, so
hand.
Amos has responded.
Okay.
He says that he learned to have his money work for him and not
Okay.
working for the money.
Okay.
Isaac says that the same thing, that he learned to make his money work. Grace
Mm-hmm.
says that she got something from the book, that she can die working hard and looking for money, which makes her a slave, while
Mm-hmm.
others make money to work for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Those are some really good answers, guys. Why I brought this up today is because the topic of our discussion today is very important. It's a topic that I have been asked to talk on all the time. Career, thriving in career, and also thriving in business. Looking at the my screen, which is also should be on your screen, the cash flow quadrant. The reason why we work is because we want to earn a living, right? We want to be able to pay our bills, we want to be able to save for the future and leave a legacy for our children and our children's children. And based on this presentation, you can see it is completely impossible to leave a legacy, almost impossible to leave a legacy for your children and your children's children with a job. Okay. So if you're working as a manager or as somebody corporate somewhere, you get a salary, and most times your jobs will pay you just enough for you to make your ends meet. There are not many jobs that pay you so well where you have enough to save up to leave a legacy for your children's children. I'm talking about your grandkids, right? Most high-paying jobs are if you are a CEO or you're like a regional manager or something. And even here in the US, when you look at all the jobs that most people aspire to have, the most they'll make is maybe like 100,000, 150. I've seen maybe 200,000, and that is like consultants. Those are people that are really high level professionals. Now, if you go into like the CEO of Coca-Cola, he might be making $1 million or more. If you are like the, I don't know, manager somewhere in Amazon, you might be making $1 million a year with some bonuses. Now, those people, we can say they're making enough to leave a legacy for their children, to invest, to start businesses, because that's enough money that you can do that with. But for the most part, any type of employment, when you put it in this quadrant, you can see that it is limited. Number one, it limits your skills because you're only using a certain level of your skills. You can't use all of your skills in that one job that they've given you, right? So let's say I'm an accountant and I'm working as an accountant in a bank. I have other skills other than mathematics that I can use, right? So I'm an accountant, I'm sitting at a desk, I probably don't interact with customers. I'm in the back, somewhere in the bank, just crunching numbers all day. I'm not only limiting the gifts that God has given me. Yes, I'm using one of them, which is mathematics and my knowledge in numbers, but I'm not exactly having the space to express myself in other ways. I'm not exactly having the space to maximize what I can do with that gift that God has given me of mathematics. Now, if I started an accounting business, right? And I decided, you know what, I'm going to be self-employed. I'm going to move from working for the bank. I'm going to start my own accounting firm. It'll be a small shop, a desk and a table, and I'll invite small businesses to come in and be my clients, and I can do accounting for them. Do you see how that suddenly has opened up my usage of my gifts? Because now not only do I have to advertise, I have to be extroverted. I have to go out and meet people, find clients. I have to advertise. I have to welcome them in. I have to onboard them. I have to let them know all the services that I offer when it comes to accounting, how I can help their businesses and how I can help their businesses to grow, how I can help them with their taxes every year. So suddenly I've gone from being an accountant at a desk in a bank somewhere in the back to being self-employed, which is the second quadrant. And suddenly all these opportunities and doors and windows are opened up to my life because number one, I'm going to meet people in business. I might get a contract with a business that's maybe down the street. Let's just say it's a dry cleaners and they're looking for an accounting service. I now have made relationships with business owners. I now know how that business runs. I know a lot of ins and outs of what they spend money on, their expenses. I've learned. It's almost like I'm getting the behind the scenes of their business just by looking at their numbers. Okay, my next client might be a restaurant and I'm looking at their books. I do their accounting every month. I do their bookkeeping every week. I do their end of quarter reports for them. Because remember, now I'm self-employed. I now know what it's like to run a restaurant. I now know how much do restaurants pay employees in payroll. Do you see how just moving from one quadrant to the other opens up my mind to the world, opens me up to so many other possibilities and opportunities that I would not have had sitting at a desk being employed, right? And then let's say, you know what, I decide that I've been running this accounting firm for a while. I've gotten 20 new clients in my first year, and I now need to hire accountants because I have too many accounts that I'm having to keep up with, right? So 20 different businesses, I'm doing accounting for them. I now need to hire 5 new accountants to help me run this business. So I'm going to remove myself from my business. I'll be the overseer. I'll set up systems for each accountant, what time they come to work, which accounts they're in charge of, the training of them, making sure that they know what they need to do, how they're going to do their accounting my way, because obviously if I'm an accountant and I have a business now, I've opened it, it's going to be Pauline, somebody give me a good name, Pauline Business Solutions and Accounting, whatever, right? So now that's the name of my business. I now have employees. I have them on payroll. I may even hire someone who goes out and markets and finds us new clients and markets my business. And that allows me to remove myself so I can have an aerial view of how my business is running, right? So I've moved from being an employer. I've moved from being an employee to being self-employed. I hope you know the difference between self-employed and being a business owner. When you're self-employed, you're basically working in the business. You're in there. You're the one who opens and closes. You are self-employed, but you're working for yourself rather than working for somebody else. The time that you are now considered an entrepreneur is when you no longer work for yourself. So a doctor is self-employed. Yes, they have their own business, but the fact that that business doesn't run unless they're there, they're still employed, quote unquote. I hope you understand that. So if you go to a doctor's office and there's 100 patients waiting there because the doctor didn't show up, that doctor is self-employed. Nobody else is there to see the patients when he's not there. Now, if he's hired other doctors and medical officers underneath him and trained them to do what he does, that they can take over all of his duties, then he's no longer self-employed. That doctor now becomes an entrepreneur, right? So back to my example, by me opening an accounting firm and training people to do what I do, you are now officially a business owner because you can do that in that town. You can open another accounting firm in another town. You can open branches in several different cities or states or countries. The business is no longer relying on you personally being there, answering every call, opening every door, closing every night, calling every client. You've grown to the extent of you have a receptionist, you have a call center, you have a billing department, you even have your own accountant for your own businesses. So like Robert Kiyosaki was saying, there are advantages and disadvantages to every quadrant. Now, the employees, the way I look at employment, I look at employment as a training ground. And even within employment, there are several different steps and several different types of employment, right? I'm going to use some of the jobs that we have here as an example. Like when you're 20s and in college, most kids here, they work in the grocery store, which is like a supermarket. They work as supermarket attendants, or they work in the fast food places. And then once they graduate from college, you can see that they try to go for more white collar jobs versus staying in the blue collar jobs that are very manual. So they'll now graduate from college, they'll get a white collar job. And then even in your white collar job, there's levels, right? You can start off as an entry level position or an entry level accountant, or you can start as an intern, depending on where you live and how your systems work. And then slowly you grow to being a team leader, maybe a supervisor, manager, and then here we have directors, we have senior directors. So you can see that even within each quadrant, there are levels. What I want you to do is be able to see yourself and where you are. If you are in the employment quadrant, where are you in employment? If you are in a self-employed quadrant, where are you in your self-employment? Have you grown your business enough to where you can remove yourself from it and be more of an overseer, a president, and a CEO, and less of the person that comes in every day and sweeps and closes and opens and talks to customers? Like while you're attending to customers, your phones are ringing. You can't do two things at the same time. While you're out there looking for clients, you have to lock the door and then go look for a client and come back and open up shop again. You're too self-employed. If that's the phase that you're in, you obviously need to start looking at, okay, what's the next step from here, right? If you're in business and you have one location and it runs well, your systems are in place, your employees are great, you have a good team, maybe ask yourself, what is the next level of my business? Is it another location? Is it offering more services within that business? Is it selling the business? Is it, even in business, you have to have a growth strategy and you have to have an exit strategy, which, we can always talk about that later if we ever do a business class or a business talk here in future then. All right. And then lastly, the last quadrant is an investor, which is the most lucrative in all of the four quadrants, is being an investor. The reason for that is because you can invest in businesses around you, globally, locally, anywhere. You don't have to be there. You don't even get involved in the day-to-day of investing in some businesses, right? And that's what Ruth was talking about. I've invested in a business in Kenya. I've never been there. I don't know what they do on a day-to-day basis. I have a rough idea that they are milling maize, but I'm not there making sure the machine is on, the maize is of good quality. I'm not there doing that. So you need that advantage in order to be able to say that, number one, I'm going to leave a legacy. Number two, I'm going to leave an inheritance for my children and my children's children. And number three, that I am using all the gifts and talents that God has given me to the maximum, right? So the cash flow quadrant can actually be renamed into the wealth growth path. You can call it anything you want to call it. The cash flow quadrant, the wealth growth path. And if there's anything that you are, like some of the questions that you asked at the beginning, how do you create wealth? How do you become financially, how do I get started on financial literacy? This is the template for financial literacy. If you don't understand that this is how the world runs, and if you plan to stay in the employee quadrant forever, you know that there's a ceiling to that. There's a cap to that. There's a way that the road just comes to an end. And unless you have an amazingly awesome, paying job, I know people that have amazing jobs where their kids' tuition is paid for. These are just benefits. They have such a good job in terms of like even in their level of management that they're in. Some of the benefits they get are their kids' tuition is paid for them, their housing is paid for them, they get a company car, they get a company cell phone, they get at least one family vacation paid for them every year. But how many of us realistically have those types of jobs? Okay. And remember, there's more people than there are luxury jobs like that. And so if we all just say, yeah, one day I'm going to be a CEO of this company, the CEO is going to retire and leave everything to me, that company has like 800 people who are desiring that job. The odds of you, saying that I'm going to work my way up to that are less. The odds of you achieving that are less than there are the odds of you starting a successful business. So would you spend your whole life, my question to you is, would you spend your whole life until retirement, 65, working in a job, desiring promotions and desiring to be at the very top of that food chain in your corporation or in that place that you work at, or even in your industry? You have to look at your industry. If you're in HR, look at what a high level HR person makes. If you are desiring one day to be a VP of HR in Coca-Cola, go Google it, see how much they make, see what kind of lifestyle they live, see what perks they get, and see how much time freedom and financial freedom they have. And then work your way up to that. Have a growth path. If you're a business person, have a growth path. Okay, I'm a small shop now, but eventually I want to open a supermarket. What does that look like to grow from my small shop to my supermarket? So in conclusion, what I'm saying is don't get stuck in every quadrant. And even in that quadrant, don't get stuck in one job. You are more, what's the word I'm looking for? You're more versatile. There's more in you than just where you are. You have to figure out like, okay, what else can I do? The mindset of this whole quadrant is constantly asking yourself, am I where I need to be? Where am I going? What is the path that I'm trying to take? Am I doing what it takes to just keep growing and growing and growing? And then one day you'll find that you've outgrown the employee quadrant. Then you'll decide to be self-employed. And in that self-employment, you grow and grow and grow and grow. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I've reached the end of self-employment. Like this has got to grow into a standalone business that doesn't need my daily input. Then you grow and grow and grow and grow in business, and you think, okay, wow, if have I maximized all my business opportunities in this area? Do I need to start investing in other people's businesses and making other streams of income come from other people's businesses? Okay, so without having to repeat what Robert Kiyosaki already said, this is your blueprint for your cash flow, for your wealth growth path, and it's simple. That's why I like sharing it, and it's doable. It's simple and it's doable. And he breaks it down in such a way that you can actually see yourself and see, wow, okay, yeah, depending on what I feel God is calling me to do in my life, I can see how, I'm in the wrong quadrant, or I need to jump to the next one, or how I can see how even in my quadrant, I'm not maximizing my opportunities and I'm not maximizing my capabilities. Okay. All right. So I'm going to end my talk there, and then I'll take questions. For the sake of time, we have 35 minutes for questions, and I want you all to ask anything. Let's interact with the lesson today, and then Ruth will guide us on how we're going to close.
Oh, amazing. Thank you very much. That was a very short yet very packed session. I have actually I have learned more than I had envisioned in a very short time. The aspect that you have to bring your multifaceted gifts on display, and that you actually learn by doing, and the more that you do, the faster that you're able to learn. That is quite something that is very fundamental. But I would like to ask a question, maybe to open the floor and then allow others to ask a question in the same line. You have talked about, let's go back to the same example of accounting, taking up the accounting, handling all the tasks that revolve around accounting, doing it for a restaurant, doing it for a consultancy business, doing it for a different kind of business. And then this gives you the glimpse. But the challenge we have currently is that people fear a lot of work. People fear a lot of work. And someone had also highlighted something at the beginning, that the risk of not having stability in terms of income, in terms of cash flow. So, how do we mitigate those two particular things when it comes now to starting off a business? How do we handle this particular component?
Are
Sorry,
you
you're
talking about,
muted.
are you talking about the component of starting your own business while you are still employed?
Yes, or alternatively, you consider that you actually you're not expressing yourself fully, and sometimes the opportunities are there and they're not giving you that chance, so you choose to venture out solo.
And what's the question?
So the question comes in with the aspect of business and self-employment looks lucrative in terms of having the cash flow and the resources coming in, because now you get to work with people one-on-one, and you get to learn faster, and you get to display your skills. But the challenge comes in with, number one, there's a lot of work that is involved to put into the business or to put into the idea, sourcing of clients, doing everything as a self-employed person before now you scale up to a business. And now the risk of inconsistent cash flow or finances. Because someone had actually asked, how are you able to transition at 33? Although you had mentioned something on this, that you had considered your professional journey as a part of a way of saving money to start a business. But now, what about those people that are starting out, or they have multiple ideas? How do you steward into that successful transition?
Thank you, Ruth, for that question. And I see a lot of questions in the chat. I will do my best to get to all of them one at a time. So Ruth's question is, what do you do when you fear that jump, that it's going to be too much work? How am I going to handle, all the different responsibilities of starting a business? My answer to that is business is not for the weak-hearted. What you're doing for your employer right now is a cakewalk. It is a walk in the park compared to running your own business. Running your own business is like running through a forest with lions and bears chasing you. So it is not an easy thing to jump into, especially at the beginning, because most times you're going to be self-employed. It's hard to jump from being in quadrant E to being in Quadrant B, because Quadrant B requires you to have employees and your systems already set up, which, you know, if you're just starting out, you obviously don't have that. So typically, most people who are small businesses, they will start from the angle of being self-employed. And even that is very difficult because it's like you have 10 jobs. For example, when I started my first business, which was a school, I was the teacher, I was the customer service person, I was the one grading all the assignments, I was the one answering all the calls, I was doing my own bookkeeping, I was doing my own accounting, I was doing my own ads, I was doing my own advertising, I was doing my own marketing, I was following up, sending email follow-ups and onboarding, offboarding every single student myself. I was doing all the enrollments. So you can imagine I went from having one job to having 10 jobs. So yes, there is that fear of, oh my gosh, it's going to be too much work. But nothing good comes easy, and it is worth every penny to do it, because although I felt like I was suddenly doing 10 different jobs, and that does not take away from the other jobs I already have at home, of being a mom, you know, or being a wife, being a mother, being a sister. All those things don't stop. You're still doing all of that stuff. And although I was doing all these different things, there is still more satisfaction. The amount of satisfaction that you get from doing your own thing, it's unexplainable. You just feel like even though you're suffering, you're just smiling from ear to ear, because you know you're doing it for yourself. You know what you're building. You can see it slowly coming together, and you can honestly, if you have a proper business plan, it's your business plan that keeps you going, because you're seeing yourself like, okay, I grew from one student this month. And actually I remember thanking God so much, because I got one student and I was like, oh my gosh, I got a student. I was so excited. Like, I have one student. And then the next month I got two students, and I couldn't stop just smiling the whole day. Two students. Obviously now we graduate like thousands of students every year, but I can still remember how excited I was to have two students. I was not sleeping. I was day and night. I was not sleeping, maybe 2 hours a night. Anyway, so to answer your question about, oh, it's going to be so much work. Yes, it is. Of course, it's going to be so much work. It's going to be the most work you'll ever do in your entire life, but it's so worth it. And I would rather do that for myself than go and put that kind of effort into somebody else's business. So in life, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I am putting in my heart and soul into this job, because, you know, God says that you should work as if you're working for Him. So even when I was employed, I was putting my heart and soul into that job, but I wasn't putting all my gifts and talents into it, you know, and I still felt limited. I still felt like I could do more. There's definitely more that I can do. You just have an unrest in your employment where you're like, you know, I'm happy, I'm doing the work, I'm meeting the quotas, I'm meeting the goals, I'm meeting all my KPIs, I'm getting the annual raises, I'm getting the promotions, I'm getting all the praise that I need to. You know, you have to put up with some bad employees that you need to work with every now and then, but still you feel unsatisfied. Like, I could be doing this for myself, right? And then I always would see it from an angle of, there is this person that was this intelligent that came up with this amazing system where there's 50 of us in this department. I'm like, wow, that's a very intelligent person. But they don't even come to work. I've never even met the owner of that of the company. Never. But imagine, you know, I always look at every job like, wow, somebody put this machine together. But this machine is being run by human beings, and I'm just one component of that machine. And if I am that good to do that for somebody else, why am I not good enough to do it for myself? Right? If I'm good enough to get promotions every year and get recognized, and I've been here for 7 years, why am I not good enough to do the same thing for myself? So I looked at that as training, as a training ground. Where did I learn my customer service from? I learned it from where I was as an employee, the job duties I used to have. Where did I learn my administrative skills? Obviously, I learned it from my years and years of employment. Where did I learn, you know, accounting, bookkeeping systems, you know, daily tasks? I learned it from that environment where I served under somebody. And so employment is more like training to me. It's more like you're learning how to serve. You're learning different components of business in the environment that you're in, and you're going to use all those skills eventually for yourself. All right. Sorry, my answers are very long. I'm going to try to keep it
Apparently, they're very comprehensive, and you are also answering other questions that had come in before. So you're doing very well. Please don't don't criticize yourself. Thank you very much. I love it. I love the perspective. For me, everything I'm seeing is actually a total mind shift that shows you the whole idea that a company was put up by someone. Really, we never think about it that way. But now that you see it, is actually something quite amazing. So I'd like to open the floor to anyone who has a question to ask. Oh, wow. I can see Amos has a very long question. Amos, would you mind unmuting and then help us understand your question?
Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity that has been given to me. The question that I have to Madame Pauline, actually, it's a privilege to have her here today. The question that I have for you, Madame, what are those daily habits or routines that have helped you to stay focused, creative, and resilient as an entrepreneur? Because I'm realizing something about me that I always have a very big, like many ideas in my minds of business. And when I share these ideas with other people, they are working for them, but I don't know why they are not working for me. Yeah, and yeah, I just need guidance there. Thank you.
Okay. Very good question. You're saying that you have, what are the daily habits and routines that have helped me to stay focused? Okay. So being an entrepreneur requires you to be very disciplined. I have found that your business will look exactly like you. Every business you see out there, it takes on the shape and the character of the business owner, right? Because if I am not disciplined and if I don't have certain routines, I'm not able to pass that on to my managers or pass those expectations on because I don't have it, right? Remember that I'm Christian. Okay, so I'm Christian, just to let you all know. And the Bible does say that to have an excellent spirit because God has an excellent spirit. What does that mean? It means that even if you're employed, whether you're in business, whether you're self-employed, you do something until you overdo it and do it above and beyond to where it's excellent. When somebody sees it, they're like, wow, this is amazing. And you're always over delivering. And one of the things that I've noticed is when you see a bad business, they're not over delivering, they're under delivering, and most of the time they're overcharging. So, what excellence looks like if you're a kingdom entrepreneur is you undercharge, then you over deliver. That's what constantly keeps customers through the door. You're not overcharging. You're not undercharging to the point where you're not making profit, but you're being reasonably priced. You're being reasonably priced, but then you're over delivering. Whether it's a service, whether it's a product, it is just excellent. So to answer your question, some of the habits that you need and routines that help me to stay focused. The number one habit is excellence. Number two habit is just being as disciplined as you were when you were in high school. Do you remember the level of discipline that you had in high school? You had to get up in the morning, not by the time the bell rings. If you're late, you get punishment. If your not homework is not due on time, you miss your recess or you miss your lunch break or you have to go to detention in your principal's office. Those habits are the ones that allowed you to graduate high school. Now, they were forced on you. There was somebody supervising you your entire time, from the time you were in primary school to high school. Even in college, they kind of supervise you because if you don't do your work, you don't graduate from college. But then you'll notice that suddenly most people lose their discipline after they graduate from college. Why? Because they don't have that overshadowing authority over them telling them what time to get up, what time to eat, what time to. You suddenly are now giving people back their lives to manage, and they've never managed their lives before. And so, what helped me is the same habits and the same standards that I had to keep when I was employed. I had to be at work at the same time. Every day, if you're late 2, 3, 4 times, they fire you. If you're not showing up to work, I used those same habits and continued them into business. I drop my kids off at school. I'm at my desk by 8 o'clock in the morning. By 12 o'clock, I usually leave the office and take a lunch break. 1 o'clock, I have to be back at my desk. I know I'm picking up my kids at 3. I keep those same routines. And I would recommend a book for you. It's called Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits, you can actually do a quick book summary on YouTube. Just Google Atomic Habits book summary. Basically, what the author was saying is that there are small habits in life that make you successful. They are very tiny, but they add up to big things. Waking up, making your bed, having your tea at the same time every day, going to work at the same time every day. The culmination, the compound effect of all those things over a period of time is what makes people successful. So every business takes the shape of the person that runs it and owns it. Means that if you're the type of business owner that doesn't open today, tomorrow you're open, tomorrow you're opening late, you're supposed to pay your workers, you don't pay them on time, those horrible habits are the things that will make your business to crash, right? So routines are very important. Excellence is very important. Staying focused is also very important. Being creative, it's kind of hard to be very creative if you have too much on your plate. I find that when I delegate most of my tasks, the mundane day-to-day tasks, and I'm able to delegate responsibilities to my employees, that allows me the time and space to be creative. Being creative is like prayer. You can't pray when you have 500 things going on. It's easier to pray when you're quiet, you're peaceful, you don't have chaos around you. Same thing with creativity. If you want to stay creative in business, you have to have your alone time. That's the other reason why I don't work in my business locations, because I notice when I have an office in my business location, every 2 minutes somebody's coming through my door with a question. Oh, Pauline, should we do this? Oh, Pauline, what about this? And Pauline, yesterday this happened. I don't want to know that because I've delegated that responsibility, and the consequences of that responsibility have also been delegated to you. So if you have as a business owner, if you have an office in your workspace, you're not giving yourself space to be creative. Resilience in business and resilience as an entrepreneur, that just comes from life. Even just being alive requires resilience. Being alive in 2025 requires resilience. It's not an easy time to be alive. You all can attest to that, right? So I think resilience is already inbuilt into every person. The things that you've persevered and overcome in life, the fact that you're not dead right now, despite everything that you have gone through, you are certified in resilience. There's no other resilience that you need to wait for. You are already certified. Life gives everybody resilience because, unless you were born with a diamond plate and a golden spoon in your mouth, yeah, you might not pass the resilience test. But if you have gone through life generally as a human being and you've made it to 2025, you have the resilience that it takes to start a business. Okay. Next question.
Amazing. That's very comprehensive. Thank you very much. I believe that you have been answered, Mr. Amos. Please respond via the chat box. We have a question from Sarah, and she's asking, as a growing professional, I've always found a challenge in building meaningful professional connections. What is the best way to build meaningful professional connections that support your growth?
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, for your question. In the professional world, I know what Sarah is saying. It's challenging building meaningful. You can build professional connections, but they're not meaningful, especially if you're on LinkedIn. Everybody is, liking each other, connecting. You can have 50,000 connections on your LinkedIn, but you don't feel like the connections are like they're tangible. So Sarah, when you say meaningful, are you meaning like a group of friends that you go out and have coffee with, or that you bounce things off of, talk on the phone? Or are you talking about meaningful in terms of like their connections are yielding more opportunities in your professional career, or the connections are helping you to grow career-wise? Are you looking for more of like a friend group that you're like-minded with, or are you looking more of opportunities for career growth? I'll let her answer that in the chat.
I believe that she's looking towards the last category. Sorry for that. She's talking about the aspect of like professional networking so that you can be exposed to more opportunities that would lead to business growth, development, yes, opportunities for career growth. Something that would scale you up, probably to the right side of the quadrant from the left.
Awesome. I think, Sarah, if I was in a career right now, the best way that I would make those meaningful connections is attending, groups like this, like Future Den. I would take a lot of classes, go to a lot of conferences. What profession are you in, if I may ask, or what industry are you in? So maybe there's like conferences that you can go to, some free sessions in your industry that you can also go to that can help you connect with those people. And I find that when you go, every time I attend a conference or anytime I attend a group session like this, there's always something that I learn. Also, there's a lot of online groups that you can join, and those will kind of help you in your career. Let's say you're in the health field versus somebody who is being versus somebody who is being or somebody who's an accountant. An accountant and a nurse would not go to the same conferences or go to the same meetings. But if I was constantly looking as a nurse, okay, what medical device conference in Dallas is on Friday, I would go there and find out that, okay, maybe they are hiring nurses in the medical device industry. If I see a Doctors Association and Healthcare Workers conference in Dallas, I would definitely attend to that. And sure enough, in that, there's something that I'm going to learn from it. So career growth always requires you to be learning, and it always requires you to be seeking knowledge. The Bible says that we should seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And so if you're always in a place where you think you know it all, you figured it all out, I know everything I need to know, trust me, you're not growing. And then also put yourself in situations that you've never been in before. For example, let me just give you a simple example. My kids have started taking piano lessons. My son, who likes to play soccer and it's easy for him to play soccer, is crying every time he sees the piano teacher. Now, as a mom, I have two options. I can say, oh my God, he doesn't like piano. Why am I forcing him? But because I know he needs to grow, I'm putting him in a difficult situation. I'm making him do something he doesn't like. This thing that he likes, soccer, is so easy. He doesn't even have to think about it. And he enjoys it so much and it gives him so much joy. That's great. Good for you. I'm glad you have that. But you always need to have something else that you're working hard on that is forcing you to come out of your comfort zone. You always need to have something else that is forcing you to think outside the box. Like, okay, my fingers, this is number 3, number 2. I don't care if you cry through the whole lesson. I'm forcing you to grow. I'm forcing you to do hard things. Those are the things that build resilience. And so to answer Sarah's question, put yourself in hard places. Go to those meetings, go to those conferences. If you don't like talking to people, walk up to somebody and talk to them. Like, hey, in this field, A, B, C, D, E. So how does that work? Learn something from someone. Your professional growth is on you. I tell people all the time, from 0 to 20, your growth, your food, your shelter, and your learning is all dependent on your parents being able to pay for your school fees. But after 20, you are responsible for your own growth. You're responsible for your own school fees. And a lot of people stop growing at age 20 because their parents stop paying their tuition, and you don't have those mentors and people telling you, wake up, put your school uniform on, go to school. But you have to know that after 20, if you haven't picked up a book, if you haven't gone to learn something new, if you haven't picked up a professional development podcast, if you're not constantly learning, that means you abandoned yourself at age 20. Why are people abandoning themselves at age 20 and saying, oh my God, I wish my parents had had enough money to take me here and here? No, 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 no. Your growth from 20 is all dependent on you. So if there's something lacking in your life, I blame you for it. There's too many free resources online on YouTube for professional growth in every single career that you can imagine. And you can literally sit there every day and learn something new that would completely shift the trajectory of your profession and your career and your knowledge for good. You would be untouchable if you're constantly learning something new every day. Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for that question. That's awesome.
Amazing. Oh, wow. I love the fact that the emphasis is being put on our lives have already been taken care of by so many people that when we are given our lives back, we really don't know how to go about it. But it's important for everyone to be now intentional and deliberate on building their own life, especially now that you have raised the bar to 20. I believe most of us here are more than 20 years old. So that's a beautiful one. For the interest of time, I would want to ask one more question. Sorry, Mr. Regan, your question about overcoming fear at the workplace while transitioning from an employment to a business had already been answered. So kindly we request that you find that in the recording since it will be shared. But there's one question that Isaac has asked, and the question is, what systems and structures have you put in place to monitor your business in your absentia? Like, how did you transition now from self-employment to business? And while at it, maybe you could also put in something on your take on debt. How do you use debt in and partnerships to grow and scale up our business? Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So the systems that I currently have, let me think. In the education business that I have, we have daily reports that the instructors are supposed to give on their day. Obviously, we have like attendance reports that we do with our students, and those are all done online. The managers and the school administrators, they report to me on a daily basis. I touch base with them. We have meetings with them every Monday. We kind of set the pace for the week and the expectation for the week of what we are planning to do, any changes that we've implemented. I check with them often. But the best way to monitor systems now in 2025 is all through like digital and electronic ways, right? So you're not constantly having to be there. Obviously, we have cameras at the school. Our accounting system is done by an offsite company so that the school just basically focuses on what they need to focus on, which is taking care of the students, loving on them, teaching them, taking care of them, making sure they all transition through to graduation. And so there are some things that we outsource, like accounting and things like that. And even when it comes to like our financial systems, we try to avoid there being a lot of cash transactions. Everything we do is either check or online. So all our tuition systems are paid online. In the beauty industry, where we have our spas and salons, all our payments are done through a credit or debit system. And when a customer comes in, they have to log in and sign in. So I'm able to see how many customers came in that day, and we don't accept cash. I don't know if where you are in Uganda, it's becoming more and more cashless. I know in Kenya it is because of M-Pesa. So if you go to a business in Kenya, because they have M-Pesa, I don't know if you guys know what M-Pesa is. That has kind of helped with those structures those structures help to monitor the financial systems when your employees are not always handling cash. So yeah, there's different things depending on your business that you can do that can help you to monitor your sales, that can help you to monitor your cash flow, that can help you to monitor your employees. Even with our employees, there's a way that our system tells us, hey, this employee has reached their 1 year, it's time to do their annual review. And then every review we do, we have to put it online. They get a copy of that. There's just automations. There are a lot of automations now that we're in the digital world that really help with running your business remotely, where you don't have to be there all the time. And then thank you for that, Masuku, for that question. And then about debt, I see. I'm sorry, Ruth. Can I put you on hold for a second?
Yes, please go ahead. Meanwhile, feel free to join the WhatsApp group where we have more communications on what happens at Future Den and future programs that we have. Also, we have a feedback form that has been shared on the chat box. Kindly do the due diligence of helping us by filling that feedback form, and then we can be able to analyze and see how we can serve you better even in the subsequent sessions. Again, thank you for joining and thank you for inviting your friends. You can go ahead and type which nugget have you picked from today's session. And probably more than just a nugget, what actionable steps are you going to take from this particular session? At least so far, so good. We have been recommended to read two books. The first one is The Richest Man in Babylon, and the second one is The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. We'll see a way of sharing this book in soft copy format in the WhatsApp group, as well as let's not forget our annual flagship physical event that will be happening on the 29th of November. Look forward to receiving more details from us even as we proceed. You're welcome, Miss Pauline.
All right, thank you. Sorry for that. That was in the middle of something. Okay. What's your take on debt and partnerships? I do believe that as far as debt goes, there's good debt and there's bad debt. Bad debt is debt you're using to buy shoes, clothes, liabilities. Good debt is debt that you're using to buy assets that are going to cash flow. So if you're using debt to build a cash flowing asset like a business, or if you're using debt to buy an asset, then that's what I would consider good debt. So I have no problem with small business loans. I have no problem with things that programs that help people to fund businesses and then they have to pay them back later, like SACCOs. I love those. Are you all familiar with SACCOs? No? Okay. Basically, SACCOs are like groups that put money together and then you're able to borrow it and return it with an interest. So my take on debt is if you're using debt to build a business or a cash flowing business, or if you're using debt to buy an asset, then by all means, that is good debt. Now you have to borrow according to your capacity. So, that's another lesson for another day. Partnerships. I am okay with partnerships as well. I think partnerships are good, especially in a business that you don't have all the skill sets that are needed to start that business. So, for example, Farisi Manufacturing Industry is a business and it's also a partnership. I'm in partnership in Farisi with 4 other people. They have a skill set that I don't have. And so in that particular business, I'm the CFO. I deal with everything financial. We have a CEO who also does all our marketing. We have a COO who does all of our operations, and he has a lot of experience in milling. He was working for another miller for many years. He knows everything about maize, about machines, about the granules, how small the grains need to be to make maize flour. Perfect. That's a skill I don't have. So obviously I need a partner like that. And then we have a CHRO. She is mainly on the hiring side. So her background is in human resources. So she takes care of all the factory workers, all the office workers. She does the hiring, the firing, the licensings that we need, all of that stuff. She's very, very good on the admin and the human resource side, which is something I can't do from here in Dallas. So using that as an example, you don't always need a partner. You make sure that the partnerships you're going into are because number one, you don't have the skills required. And number two, this partner is someone that has the same values and principles as you do, so that when decisions are being made, it's not like black and white and you can never come in between and compromise on some things, right? So if I started a partnership with somebody who thinks completely different from me, it would be hell. So it wouldn't help the business to grow because the partners are always at logheads. They don't agree on certain things. And so with partnerships, you have to be very careful of different characters and different personalities and make sure your business principles. If you're trying to do a kingdom-based business where you're going to do your business with kingdom principles and somebody else is not, that's not going to be a good partnership. So yeah, partnerships are good. They need to be skill-based, and the person needs to have the same values and principles as you. What was the other question?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. You have actually answered both of them. But before we wrap it up, maybe allow me ask this one. You are vocal about your faith and your belief in God and the Bible being the fundamental book from whence you draw business strategies from. I would like to ask, over the 2,000 scriptures that talk about money in the Bible, which is your favorite and why?
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy you asked I'm so happy you asked me that. I have so many, but my favorite one is the parable of the what is it called? It's called the parable of the master. The parable of the master. I don't know if you guys know this. So in the parable of the master, there is a very rich man, and he has a manager, and the manager was in charge of his finances. And what the manager would do was he sensed that the owner was going to fire him. Okay. In that parable, there was something he was doing wrong. Either he wasn't treating the customers right, or he was not being a faithful steward with the money. And once the owner realized that, he says, I am going to fire my manager. Now, this parable is being told by Jesus. So follow with me. So now what happens is, as soon as the manager finds out that he's about to be fired, because he could sense that his owner is going to fire him, he started calling back the people that owed money into the business and owed money to the owner, and telling them like, hey, if you pay just even half of this money, I'm going to settle your account. You're not going to have to owe it. So by doing that, he was technically stealing. By doing that, he was technically stealing. He was already stealing, but now he's even stealing some more, because he's trying to gain favor with his clients, so that when he goes somewhere else and looks for another job, those clients will follow him to his new position that he'll find somewhere else. Are you following? So he would call the second person and say, hey, look, I know you owe the master this much, but you don't have to pay all of it. Just pay this much. Then he would call the next person and the next person, the next person. And then at the very end of the parable, Jesus said, the master was Jesus said the manager was very wise, because he used money to make lifetime connections. And that parable has always bothered me, because I thought like Jesus would rebuke the manager. He's stealing, he's cutting deals left and right. He knows he's about to be fired. Then he even starts cutting more deals so that all these clients can follow him to wherever his next job is. But instead of Jesus rebuking the man, Jesus says that we should be as wise as this manager who used money to make connections. And that just always has floored me, because what God was saying is that if a wicked person can learn how to use money to make lifetime connections, how much more a child of God? And there you have it. I'll let you stew over it, and then we can talk about it in our next class. We can talk about how he was so wicked, and how, God would have said, hey, my children, don't do this thing. But what God was saying, you are so faithful with money, but all we do with our money is we use it to buy food, to buy school fees, to buy this, to buy that, to pay bills. And then your grandmother calls you, you send money to them. Why are we not using our money to make kingdom impact? People in the world, what they do when they get money, they make friends with the politicians, they make friends, and you see they are always rich people, they're always just moving around together. They get richer and richer and richer and richer. But Jesus was telling us that we are foolish. We don't know how to use money for the right things. We think money is an evil thing. Money is a key to connections, to lifetime connections. And money is a way of creating kingdom impact. Many of us ask ourselves, why is the church always so poor? Why is the church of God, the ecclesia, the body of Christ, why are we always the ones in prayer sessions praying for money, and money is not coming? Because when we have it, we are not using it the right way. And that's my favorite verse in the Bible.
To be honest, it's nothing like what I expected.
I know you thought I would tell you, given it shall be given unto you, pressed down. Yeah,
I, I,
there's all those, but there are many, many. Mm-hmm.
wow, that is quite something. That is quite something. And then there's a lot of news about it. And thank you also for highlighting on this particular question that people really love to ask. Is your network your net worth? You have mentioned something that has actually proven that yes, your network is actually relative to your net worth. We are so grateful. Thank you for joining and gracing this session. We actually are looking forward to hosting you for more because I feel like we have not exhausted. This is the part where we have interacted with the wealth coach, but there's the part where we need to interact also with a business strategist just to understand, okay, I have a startup, okay, I'm running a business. What am I doing wrong? What can I use to scale up or to better my business in future? Thank you so much, Dr. Pauline, for coming and gracing us. Thank you for sparing some time out of your business. We are grateful for all that you're doing. Thank you for being a kingdompreneur. You're the first person that I heard say that Christians don't mind their business. I usually thought it was a thing because it's also in the scriptures. I mean, in First
Yeah.
Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 14 says that you should mind your business. But he actually highlighted, even Jesus says that I do as my father does. So we're actually supposed to mind God's business and he will mind our business. That is something that I have never forgotten. But we love it. Thank
Oh,
you for gracing the session and for the interest of time. Maybe one parting shot and then we can close the meeting.
of course, thank you. I see somebody here that asked a question about over ambitiousness, and I really wanted to answer that.
Okay.
There is no such thing as being over ambitious, because these are all the ideas that you have are given to you by God. Every time you're driving around and you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to open that business, or that's an amazing business. Or sometimes I'm just driving around like, wow, that's such a good idea. I should have done that. And I just see God in everything, especially in entrepreneurship. That's all somebody's creativity that they put together on paper, then they actually physically created it, right? And so, to answer that question about being overambitious, there's no such thing as being overambitious because, again, I'm Christian. So I look at Jesus as being everything to us. So remember, Jesus is the great physician. He's also the advocate. He's also in the Bible, it says he's the righteous judge. He's also a shepherd. He's also a friend in need. All the descriptions of who Jesus is, that means he has like 50,000 professions because he's the help in time. How are you a shepherd, an attorney, a physician, a judge? How are you all those things all together? Because we carry Jesus, we are also very versatile. We're also very multifaceted. You can do more things than one. And I know sometimes you hear like, don't be a jack of all trades. A jack of all trades is a master of none. No, but Christ said we can do all things through Christ who strengthened us. So, yeah, are you not already a father? Are you not already an employee? Are you not already a dad, an uncle, a brother to you? You're so many things already, but why do we limit it when it comes to work? And so, my parting shot is you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And those ideas are coming from Him because He knows He gives you the skills to do all those things. So, basically, He could be telling you, pick one and go with it, and you can pick one, go with it, build it up, free up your time to do all these other things, which is what I did. I built one business, focused on my main talent, which was teaching, and I started a school. Once I let that go and it runs itself, I now have time to invest, to business coach. I have all these ideas and I'm still going and going and going. And so you don't have to kill them. You can just start with one and shelve the other ones and come back around to them later in God's time in a different season of your life. All right, but I'm so, so happy to be here. I have enjoyed this so much. This has been so fun for me, and I'm so glad that you all invited me on here. Ruth and Stephen, you're doing such an amazing job. It's a blessing to be with you all, and I love you all so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jesus had over 50 professions. Oh my God, that is something. That is something else I'm carrying after this. Oh my God. Guys, did you hear that? That Jesus has, and it's actually true when you consider all the names that you call him. Guys, this has really been amazing. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Looking forward to seeing you in Kenya when you come around. And when you go to Kampala, we're also there to receive you and have an amazing time with you as well. Asanteni sana for gracing the session. We'll allow Dr. Pauline to leave and be able to handle all the other businesses. By the way, she's in the education sector, she's in the beauty industry, she's in the food processing space, she's in the coaching space, she's into the accounting space. I mean, hearing that from someone who says that you can do all things, she's a testament that you can do all things. So don't limit yourself to just one place. Find your anchor expression and diversify from there. Otherwise, from us is Future Den. We are grateful that you graced the session. We hope that you learned. We hope that your expectations were beyond met. Over deliver is the word, and Madam Pauline has done nothing short but that. Thank you for the amazing appreciations that we are having on the chat box. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Carol. We are really grateful. Thank you for the responses and the interactions. And until the other week, not the second, this is the first session of October. Until the next session of October, Kwaheri. Thank you very much. Do have a lovely evening. And for you, Dr. Pauline, do have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you all.
Asanteni
Have
sana.
a good night.
Thank you. You are free to leave at your own pleasure.
All right. Good night, y'all. God bless you.